Hello, I'm a day late reviewing Next. All of these movies have something in common. And it is not that I've seen them all, because I have not. These are the movies that I have seen. No, what these movies have in common is the author that wrote the short stories or novels that served as their inspiration. One Philip K. Dick. Of course, the movies didn't always share the same name as the original source material. Maybe the movie studios thought the original title clunky. Or because they made changes to the story in the adaptation. But whatever the reasons, half of these have had a significant name change. Most notably, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was changed to become Blade Runner, and We Can Remember It For You Wholesale became Total Recall. But I'm here to talk about The Golden Man, which was greatly changed to become Next. Meet Chris Johnson, aka Frank Cadillac, magician. Chris has a secret he's trying to keep. He has the power to see into the future, but only his future and only 2 minutes ahead. He became a magician to hide his powers, but being a low-rent magician doesn't pay really well, so he gambles as well. But he only plays slot machines and or against the house, and he tries to stay off their radar by only winning small amounts. But we wouldn't have a story if he stayed off the radar, and so tonight he draws the attention of casino security who is watching on closed-circuit television. They notice that he isn't losing. He isn't winning a lot of money, but he isn't losing any. They also recognize that he's a magician from a nearby casino and think he might be using some of his magician skills in an unfair manner. This is when they come up on Chris's radar. He looks up at the eye in the sky and he knows that he has popped up on their radar. It's time to cash in his chips and get out of the casino. As he's doing that, a man tries to rob the casino and kills 2 people. Or at least he does in the future. Chris charges into the man, takes him to the ground, and disarms him. Just as security shows up and they tell him to drop the gun. Chris bolts and in a nice scene of cat and mouse manages to evade security and escape. He then steals a car and once again using his powers, sees how to lose the police chasing after him and gets away. But this really put him on the map of the FBI. They were initially interested in him for possible gambling fraud over the last couple of months, but Agent Callie Ferris watched him and couldn't detect any sleight of hand or any other method of cheating. She came to believe that he has the ability to see the future. Her boss, on the other hand, isn't interested in any supernatural mumbo-jumbo and needs actionable intelligence because a nuke has gone missing from the Russian Federation and it is believed to be in the United States somewhere. Ferris says if you let me get this guy, I will find your bomb. He gives her 5 days. Back at his house, Chris is talking with Irv. Irv says he has to forget the girl that he sees at the diner. It turns out that Chris has had a vision of a woman at a local diner at 8:09. It's the furthest he has ever seen into the future because he has spent several days at the diner and has yet to see her. He doesn't know what it means or why the only thing he can see more than 2 minutes into the future is this woman, but he isn't leaving town until he meets her. Just then, Chris gets a twinge, and Agent Ferris pops up on his radar. He decides to see what she wants. Short story, she wants him to look into the future to stop terrorists from setting off a nuke in the U.S. Chris isn't too keen on this because when he was younger, he was tested again and again and again until he realized he needed to pretend he didn't have the ability to see the future, otherwise scientists or the government wouldn't let him go but would use him and his abilities for their benefit. Proving his point, Ferris says no good deed goes unpunished and a swarm of agents pour into his house. Only this was Chris looking into the future. He tells Irv, "You're right, I've got to go," and bolts out the back just as the feds are pulling up at the front. Ferris walks into the garage to find Irv shooting pool by himself. She says, "I just missed him, didn't I?"
Missed it by that much.
The next morning, Chris is waiting at the diner when, at 8:09, in walks Liz, the girl of his dreams. Or at least his visions from the future anyways. He looks at his future and he sees that walking up to her and trying various lines doesn't work, so he waits a bit. In comes Kendall, Liz's ex. He and Liz have an argument as Kendall isn't ready for the relationship to be over and Liz is done. So Chris intervenes and puts on a display of ducking out of the way and blocking punches that is too alpha male for Liz, who leaves them both in disgust. So Chris looks for a different approach and sees that the only way that it will work is if he intervenes and takes a punch. So he does just that. Kendall punches him and Liz's motherly instinct kicks in and she chases Kendall off, threatening to call the police. She then helps Chris to a seat at her booth and tends to his injured lip. They exchange some small talk and Chris tells her that today is shaping up real nice, as not only did he get beaten up, but his car was stolen and he needs to be in Flagstaff, Arizona. As it turns out, Liz is headed in that direction and is willing to give him a ride. So they head off towards Arizona as Chris tries not to creep her out too much with how they were destined to meet.
I'm your density. I mean, your destiny.
Liz isn't a fan of predetermination, saying that she prefers life to be a surprise. Chris agrees, telling her it would be nice. Cut to Agent Ferris and her crew showing up at the diner to interview the staff about the altercation. Ferris finds it interesting that Chris showed up twice a day for a week at 8:09. The waitress says that she heard them talking about going to Flagstaff. The diner doesn't have any surveillance camera, so she has her team look into any nearby traffic cameras to see what type of vehicle they left in. Next up, Terrorist Central. They finally got the last piece of the device they need, and they assemble their nuke. Several of the leaders of the group discuss what the FBI knows about their activity, and that the FBI is also searching for Chris Johnson because he might be able to help the feds find the bomb. It is decided that Chris needs to be eliminated on the off chance that he is actually legitimate.
Kill Bond! Now!
Back to Chris and Liz. They arrive at an American Indian reservation at the Grand Canyon. She teaches there once a week, but is here today to help celebrate the birthday of one of her students. Trying to get into her good graces, Chris performs a magic trick for the birthday boy. Later, after the birthday party is over, Chris is driving while Liz has nodded off. It is raining and they have come to a traffic crew that says that the road is washed out and won't be safe to travel until the morning. The foreman recommends a motel back up the road about 2 miles away. Back with the FBI, Agent Kavanaugh shows Ferris what they found on the traffic cam video. They see Chris and Liz, but the car has no front plate. However, thanks to the magic of Hollywood movie video enhancement, they're able to get the parking permit number on the sticker of the vehicle's windshield. Chris and Liz rent a room at the motel, but it turns out there's only a single bed in the room. Being a gentleman, Chris tells Liz that he's going to sleep in the car. Being a lady, she lets him do it. The next morning, Ferris arrives at work to see if they've had any luck tracking the sticker. They know that the vehicle is at the motel outside of Flagstaff. Just then they're called to the main operations room. Director Wisdom informs everyone that they have received information that the nuke is in Southern California, anywhere between Los Angeles and San Diego. Ferris says that it's imperative that they catch Chris and asks for more resources to apprehend him, as they know where he is now. So, now the table is set and all the pieces are in place. Who will get to Chris first? The terrorists? The feds? And what do they have in mind for him? Will he become a slave to the state, much like the precogs in Minority Report? Or will he be able to use his ability to stay one step ahead? Check it out if you want to find out. Be advised that the movie and the original story bear little resemblance to one another. The original story takes place in a post-apocalyptic world in which mutants are hunted down and killed by the government. The movie was made for $70 million, but it only took in $76.1 million, which in Hollywood financial circles means it lost money. For those of you unfamiliar with Hollywood bookkeeping, the most common formula is that a movie should double its budget to break even. That's Hollywood for you. It was directed by Lee Tamahori, best known for directing Die Another Day, and the sequel to Triple X that had Ice Cube replacing Vin Diesel. The three major stars are Nic Cage, Julianne Moore, and Jessica Biel. Moore and Biel do a really good job. Cage is kind of hit and miss in this one. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is middling, and its IMDb score is not bad. But as you can see, the critics didn't care for it. It has some very noticeable CGI in its big action set pieces, and there are a number of plot conveniences that are hard to overlook, such as the terrorists having any knowledge about Chris and where to find him, or someone in the FBI thinking Chris could see the future as opposed to just being a very gifted card counter, or the FBI finding the road crew guy in Arizona that recommended the motel to Chris. Some of the dialogue is cringe-inducing, and don't get me started on this.
It's magic. You won't bite. Happy birthday.
Touching a person's face is pretty intimate, and to do it to a child you don't know? Ugh. And yet, despite all that, I did enjoy the movie, although I would rate it firmly in guilty pleasure territory. Well, until next time.